Welcome to Stellar Scaffold, episode 14, with the main man Joe and featuring Daniel from Ashville.
So we're back for episode 14. Today we're on the way to, firstly, Peckham. We're going to go and show you the finished product of the festival stage that the boys wrapped up last week. Obviously on last week's episode, there was our first failure that we put into the episode, and the annoying thing is, once things started going wrong, I said to our camerawoman, to Abs, I said, listen, like, let me get the boys going, like, hold off a minute, because in my head at the time, I thought that we'd save the day, because that's what we always do, that's what we always have been known to do, is things go like this, and then they come up, and then they get done, and I thought that would happen. So I said, listen, scrap the filming for a minute, let me get the boys going, let me get like a hold of this. And I was just standing, I was just watching, and I could just tell that I don't know, but as time went on more and more, I started to get a gauge that this just wasn't going to happen. But at the back of my mind, there's always that inkling, there's always that belief, you know, there's always that something that you like, no, this, it can. So I just held on, and then one of the boys, Kieran, basically lost his head a little bit. Long story short, we ended up having to stop filming. There was no major drama or anything like that, but it just wasn't, it was never going to happen. So unfortunately, we had to sack up the filming, and unfortunately, we didn't have anything to show you of the drama. And we first started this, and as long as this goes on, it's always going to be that whatever happens will be shown. And it's weird for me, because anyone who's like trying to get a job as an employee, or you're trying to win a job as a contractor, or you're trying to get into a new client, everything we do, whether we like it or not, is sugarcoating. Like, all we do is, like, even though we've got a brilliant business, or you've got a brilliant business, or you're brilliant at your job, you're still going to take that one step further to make it sound that little bit better. It's nature of the beast, it's what we do, you know, it's selling. And it's not like you're mis-selling, but it's like you're selling a product to give you that chance to get in and then show exactly what you can do. And it's the same with this, it's the same how it's always been with this. That's how you climb the ranks, you know. You say you're here and then you get there, you say you're there and then you get there, you know. It's what has to happen. But the maddest thing with this is, like, all we're doing constantly is exposing ourselves, and that's the first time really that it's been like a negative, because we've always brought it back. But listen, we said from the get-go that anything that happens, good or bad, is going to be shown on these episodes. And you saw last week that we stayed true to that. So as I said, we're on the way up to see Peckham. So we're going to have a walk around now. So we've got the 2 scaffolds up there. We're going to show you those. We're then off to Paddington, to what was Kieran's project. Kieran's still in and out of there, he's on and off on different jobs. We've got Jake there taking the lead at the minute. There's a lot of propping going on, so they're shoring up the building, shoring up parts of the walls so that other parts can be demoed. So we're going to go there, Jake's going to give you a run through on that, and then after that we are back on site with Ashville. So, but no, jokes aside, it's an absolute blessing to be in and around him. Obviously he's certainly brought a bit more fire, a bit more flame to the channel. He's brought more traffic into what we're doing. So to all of you newbies, hello, it is a pleasure to have you with us. As I say, stay strapped in, because we're on the way to Peckham. We're going to show you something special. When we first started this channel, I said that our ambition for this year and our plan for this year was to hit £2 million in turnover. The way that the year's gone, we're going to be nowhere near that. Like, we are going to be under that by some margin. And I feel like the whole industry this year has been a little bit flaky. I feel like there's been like hints that you're going to get busy and that things haven't really happened, but the phone hasn't been manic. I mean, like I've said before a few times on this channel, I'm always conscious of not repeating myself, but if we were doing this a few years, even last year or any year before that, my God, it would be chaos, absolute chaos, and like so much ongoing. And I feel like we're now slowly starting to get back to that. The phone is busy, I've got a lot of work coming in. There's a lot of people, a lot of you guys that are starting to now bring work to us as well, which I'm very grateful for. I feel like as of yet, we are way below that target, our annual turnover target. However, I think the way that things are looking now, there could be a serious surge towards now and the end of that financial year, where we can try and get in and around that figure and as close to it as possible. But like I say, it's not been the craziest year at all. If anything, it's been far too easy. But I feel like now the pedal is to the metal and things are starting to pick up. So yeah, anyone else who's got any more work, any projects that you need looking at, you know where we are. Like, give me a shout. We are getting nice and busy. Things are picking up, and there's some lovely stuff coming up. But we are always looking for more. We're looking to grow. Obviously, that £2 million target, it's a provisional. If in an ideal world we've rocketed past that, brilliant. We're not going to. I don't think we'll even touch it this year. We have got big plans for this business, and if there's anything we can ever do for you, then make sure you shout, because we are ready to take on as much as possible. So we've touched down in Peckham. Obviously, last time we were here, we didn't get to give you a proper show of the finished articles. So we're going to have a little look now, the bandstand area. Going to have a look there, walk up there, show you exactly how it was finished and handed over. And then we're going to come back to the finale of last week's episode that obviously ended on a bit of a downer. But now we're going to go there, fresh face, fresh start, new day, and show you how it was wrapped up and left the day after. Into the bandstand area. Typically, the way that this has been based out is not a way that we'd ever base out a scaffold ever. So there's obviously no bracing in it. It's supposed to be tied into itself, but obviously the way that the curtains were sat on the outside of the scaffold, and obviously the access that needed to be free flowing and left open in here, meant that we couldn't actually do that. So what Brownie decided to do when he was here is use plan braces, which you'll see. Obviously you've got them sat on that swivel there. Now the swivel is obviously our fitting that swivels, and it's for our braces, it's for plan braces, it's for everything that you can see here. It's typically used as a structural fitting. So what we've done is we've got our standards all the way up here. You've got a standard, and then we've got our ledgers that are sat all the way along. Even though the scaffold is fully tied into itself all the way round, there's nothing structural to stop it from going left to right or to stop any lateral movement. Now, in an ideal world, and obviously as you're aware, we weren't able to tie it into these columns, into these pillars. So what the plan was, if we had had the foam, would be to box them in. So we'd use nice and tight, small tubes to box in this way and box in this way. And that will obviously give us a pinch at probably 1 and then 2 levels, which obviously would stop it going anywhere. We didn't have any foam on us at the time, so it was just a case of finding another plan to make sure that the structure obviously wouldn't go anywhere. Now, obviously where it's tied in on all corners, it's never actually going to move anywhere, but obviously we've still got to make sure that that lateral movement is to a minimum. So that's where we jumped in with our plan braces, which, as you'll see, run from here to here, and they basically lock in our corners all the way around. So there's obviously not really a lot to see here on the little bandstand area, but obviously we never showed you the finished product last time. So we're just going to wrap it up now, and we're going to go and have a look at the stage and show you exactly how it was left. Last time we were here, obviously there was an awful lot of to and fro and a lot of moving and having to come back on ourselves. And the reason for that is simply because I overpopulated the job. I had too many men here. I had too many people that are qualified to make decisions, but as is the human way, they had different ways of doing things. The first issue that we had was on our distance between these towers. The boys came to the conclusion that if we went to the end of a long, which is a 6-metre tube, it wouldn't actually have any issues, and all it means is that the stage is obviously slightly bigger. Obviously there's a very open space. We didn't see that, although we were governed by design, there'd be any specific issues of us going slightly bigger. Now, that was our first mistake. The reason why there was an issue is because they had cladding and panels that were pre-cut and pre-made from the year before that basically would slot perfectly in between these gaps here. Now, obviously we've come back and the thing is now gone, the cladding's off, and they've obviously stripped it ready for us to come and strike, which the boys are on the way to do today. Now, they're doing a little tower on the way through. You've got Ollie there, Ross and Zid, and what the boys are doing is putting a little tower up for a client, and then they're coming here to start stripping this. Now, we're gonna be here for probably a day and a half. We've got to take this tower down. We're taking the bandstand area down over there that we've just seen. And then there's a load of the dry hire material to come back. Now, coming back to this one here, obviously, I've told you about our first issue, which obviously meant we had to go back on ourselves, which in scaffolding or anything, obviously once the boys have a system and a routine, it starts to click into gear and move like clockwork. Now, once you have to come back on yourself, instantly, it kind of sits on you a little bit mentally, and I think that was the first hurdle that obviously we didn't get over and caused an issue on the day. Now, to see how it was built, obviously, if you haven't already, go back onto last week's episode and you can see exactly how the boys based it out. You can see our towers going in, our ledgers, our transoms, the way that we started to board it out. So if you haven't already, make sure you check that out from last week. Now, moving on to this part here. Now, this is an area that wasn't actually included in the design, and it wasn't something that we allowed for. So obviously you see from my phone call that I had with Luca, what they asked for was an additional structure to be put in place that would be fully independent as a DJ deck, which is why we've obviously put holes through the boards. We've notched the boards, which normally I don't like to do, but obviously in some cases you can't get around it and it's always chargeable back to the client. But we've had to notch the boards to pierce holes to get our legs through to a solid foundation being the ground. Now the crazy thing is, obviously, although it was overpopulated on the day and obviously we had a lot of issues and we kept gaining ground, coming back on ourselves and ended up getting to a point where we had to cancel the episode. Once the boys came back here on the second day, we had a gang of 4 that came back for 3 hours and they wrapped it up in very, very good time. Now moving on to the roof, it's quite a unique design. It's one that we'd normally follow. Simple reason being, you've got these underslung 450 beams here. And obviously what they're for is to pick up where our dolly tower steps inside. Obviously we've got an overhang on our roof here. So typically and naturally, we'd have the beams facing, obviously the beams are flat, we'd have them this way up because that is at their strongest point. Now on the design here, they're put in to be flat. So obviously we followed the design and it was what it was. But typically, the beams would never be this way around, but obviously the issue that we'd have here is obviously it's head clearance. So we followed the design, the guys are happy, the engineer's happy, but yeah, typically, and being honest with you, it's not something that we've seen before. But anyway, that's gonna wrap up our visit here. Obviously, it's only a small project, which obviously carries back to the fact that last week was a bit of an embarrassment, but we live, we learn, and we keep it moving regardless. So that's going to wrap up our visit here. Obviously, you've seen the 2 scaffolds, you've seen everything done and complete. We're now on the way to Paddington to see Big Jakey, who's there doing a load of propping. And then after that, we're on our way to see our next project with Ashville.
So we're working from a drawing, which is always handy because obviously propping isn't something that we do day to day. What the idea of these props are is to allow the buildings to stay standing when they remove the brick walls in between the walls, the upstanding walls. This is what we're looking at. This is our drawing. So if I bring you in to the line of props, watch your heads, everyone. This is effectively our first prop here, as you're looking to it. They'll all go up about, I'd say about 4 meters before you have a spreader beam. Now a spreader beam goes across, allows us to spread the weight and prop higher again. Let's take another higher wall out. If you follow me through here, I'm actually here on my own today. I'm just carrying on with the drawing. I'll bring you back into this room here. These are our props. So following on from the longer steels that I showed you in the other room, these are some of the smaller ones. So that big sort of 5 meter steel was actually sat on these ones here. And they've just been left there in our way. So if you want any scrap, come and grab them. Coming through here with the drawing, I'm going to show you from left to right. So my job is now to get these props here from the ground, about 6.5 meters up here to these steels. What that does is allows these guys to take this wall down to the ground. We put this little platform in for the steel guys to get steel in and out. In a minute, they want me to put a platform in above so they can get another steel in. There's hardly room to swing a cat in here, to be honest. I'm going to throw a little crash deck in there for them. They can get that steel there, up there. Right here.
Yeah?
Yeah, just so it'll be chest height for them to work off. Not a major, to be honest, but obviously I'm on my own, so it might take a bit of time. Ah, here we go. This guy here.
Yeah, get him.
Desperate to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
I did say to him though, Joey, I've got some merchandise for him. He's mad to be in it. He knows the Stella gear, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's coming in.
Yeah, when you're ready for it. Come on, look, camera, come on. Here's a big chance now. I'm not desperate for it. So we're just carrying on with that. The first bit we done was on the back. Basically, they're putting a load of new steels in here. to take out old steels to keep the building up. There's our props down there. First bit of propping we done was that wall down there. They've struck all that out now. That's done for. We had a load of steels in here. Big old steels like this.
Yeah.
We had to prop up originally. Now they've got the steels out. Now the idea is this wall here you're looking up at is coming down. So we've got to prop this down below to prop the steels above. Now that wall there you're looking at is all coming out. So it's simply a case of following the drawing as best we can. Sometimes you might have to defer. Obviously if the ground's no good, you're trying to get as close as you can, but there's a concrete floor above us.
Yeah.
So they struck the concrete floor out, we've put our spreader beam in. Yeah. This is now going to go up. So once we're standing on that crash deck, we can get our higher level props up.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring our crash deck up higher to help us get to the top of the steels.
Yeah.
And once that's done, then they can take that wall away. It's the same on the other side. It's so hard to get anywhere, but do you want to come in?
Yeah.
It's where I live down here. Keep following me if you can. It's a bit of a maze. It's crazy, bro. And obviously, us boys aren't the smallest. Me especially, I'm a lump. This is, we also have big steels that were all coming in here. So they actually put the steels in here only a couple of months ago. That line of propping that we're doing in there is a carry on from here. You've probably too much stuff in your way now, but that propping goes all the way up. So like I said, about 25 foot in the air. We were held up for a few days, not held up, but obviously we're relying on other trades. So the steel boys had big steels to cut out. Some that you could get straight out that were smaller. Smaller ones being them ones there, the bigger ones were here. So basically that is our prop there. They come in different sizes, 180s, 270s, smaller props. And basically it sounds silly, but it's like an adult version of Lego really. You'll have your jack will go on the floor, like so. You'll put your beam on straight on top of it, and if you're going higher, then you'll have a U-head on the next jack above that prop, and you can go again. So like I said, a bit of like an adult Lego sort of thing. That'll help you find your level, your height, with your jack to support the steel beam, which allows the building to come down safely and leave the existing walls up on the outer. There's our lift shaft. When that comes up, another 1 or 2 lifts, there's going to be a cap on the lift shaft.
Yeah.
Now, our beams here that we put in for the Nico rail, we've obviously gone to the drawing, they've got their drawing wrong.
Yeah.
They're 100 mil out. So the adaptation that we need to do here now, our beams running from front to back have to come out, as well as the beams from left to right to come out, to allow them to build the lift shaft up. Once that's done, we'll actually be able to sit the beams back on with the lift shaft cap on it. So it'll be very, very small movement on the height of the beams.
But it's a lot of work to get there.
But it's a lot of work to get there. So sometimes, you know, even the smallest measurements, if they're out, could have a big knock-on effect. And this is a good example because, as you can see, it's not a 2-minute job.
Obviously, once they come out, that's going to have to come all the way back to like
that's
here.
it. That's it. Yeah.
All the guts out, everything.
Yeah.
And then they can just be raised 100 mil.
That's it. Yeah.
It's a lot of work for what it is, though, isn't it?
Literally, yeah. But what we'll do, we'll take it out. We can leave them out. They'll do the lift shaft, and then we'll just put it back in. But yeah, it is a lot of work for a haul, really. Yeah. But they can't get away with it. And then we can start striking.
And they reckon we can start dropping this lift shaft like this week.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
This is the existing lift shaft that me and one of the other guys done. Nice little job that was. Got it done in a day, do you remember?
Yeah.
So rapido. And that's the new lift shaft. So this new hotel's gonna have 2 lifts in it. But what we do need to do, and I know Joey keeps saying it to everyone, is to show people the yard and the setup, where all this comes from. And it is getting there bit by bit. But obviously we just want to show you when it's done, how the operation really moves. Because I think what you're seeing now is good, but once you see how that's set up there proper, it's a special job going on there.
Where it all starts
Where it all starts from.
The day's foundations.
The day's foundations, everything like that. And I think it really helps give people an insight into how we're getting all this done. Everyone pulling in the same direction. I know you see a lot of the lads already, how we all bang on about good work ethic, but it really is a good team to be on, to be fair. Everyone does pull in the same direction. And if they weren't, well, they're not here no more, to be honest. Because we ain't got time for it. That's sort of the bones of it, really.
And that is the dynamics of stellar scaffolding.
That is really, yeah. So that wraps up your visit to Paddington. I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, your visit.
These are one of the Steel boys. Handsome, single. Are you single?
No.
He's not single, sorry. Sorry about his missus.
Unlucky.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's that. So next time you come back, probably look a whole lot different again, with more props. Thanks for coming.
Bit of a flying visit with Jake. Obviously, he's actually there on his own today, which is annoying. He shouldn't be, but there was we're at a point where we've got a few boys away on holiday, got people off, and I've tried to call in people last minute, but a couple of donuts that we've tried to get in have not turned in. So Jake's there on his own. Luckily, he's only doing the propping, although it's still a pain to be doing it on his own. He's getting by and he's getting bits and pieces done. So obviously getting the crash deck done for the Steel boys, he's getting the propping done as well, and yeah, he's making good progress. Obviously we're back there tomorrow. Obviously we'll have quite a few more men in there. We've got different areas to go, but there's a lot that's about to go in there, and obviously I want you to see more and more of the boys. Obviously Jake is a boy that I've been mates with since we were like 16 years old, and we started speaking for a few years, mainly just because of life, the way things happen, and we kind of lost a bit of lost contact. But he's come back in. Obviously I gave him an opportunity at Stella, and yeah, it's paid dividends massively. He's absolutely a top boy. I love having him round. The boys love him as well, and yeah, he's just very, very good. Obviously he's not as experienced as a scaffolder as some of the other boys, but he's still a leader, and like he can lead a gang. He's in the yard at 5 AM. He cracks on. He's just he's very reliable, you know. And I think in anything in life, whether it's football or whatever it's, like any line of work, any line of, you know, where it takes an opportunity to make it, he's one of those. He was very reliable, and that gives him the opportunity to keep progressing. So yeah, he's a top lad, a top boy, and yeah, he's someone that I want you guys to see more and more of. He's one of a few. Listen, we've got some serious boys on here, some good personalities, some top scaffolders, arguably the best scaffolders around in our area. And yeah, I want you to see more and more of the boys, as I say it all the time. But yeah, that was Jake, that was Paddington, and we're now off to see the boys at Ashville's to wrap up the final stages of the next project we are doing for him.
Pass me another Wrigley, please. Sorry, big.
1/8 foot.
Do you want 10?
I feel like we're moving in here, but we are back again for the 3rd time in a row on site with Ashville. Now, obviously this project here was our first project with him, but since we've been finished, we've not actually been back here to show you the final project. So that's what we're here to do now, so let's have a little walk. So obviously we showed you all of this last time. Obviously we've got everything now fully complete, it's all handed over. Daniel's request was for caps to be put on all of these all the way through, obviously for the safety element, to make sure that no one is able to catch themselves. We've got quadruple handrail all the way up, and we're going to jump upstairs now to show you the crash deck wrapped up and finished. So we're now up in one of 2 crash decks. So obviously this is now complete and boxed off. We've got a double toe board all the way up to make sure that nothing can fall off. We've got a triple handrail. Obviously where we've got the 3rd handrail in, it's a bit higher. The boys have tied back into the structure down below, so it's almost acting as a buttress, which is a supporting structure for the handrail. Now as we come along here, obviously you see that all of this, solely the whole focus, the whole purpose of it in place is simply for storage. While we're up here, I think it's a very good way of us showing you what the mat is. So the mat essentially, so anytime we talk about a mat on any of our projects, and obviously I showed you earlier, what the mat is this line of tube here that locks in all the way along. And as you'll see, these are our Wrigleys here. What they do is they all slot into each other. So you've got have the grooves in the sheets, the Wrigley slots into them perfectly, and they're designed to fit in, and obviously it goes in snug as a bug in a rug. But obviously this line of tube that we've got here, all it does is basically locks it all in and makes sure that once the weather picks up, these corners here, they can't lift. Now, obviously if the weather was to pick up and the sheet started to lift, they're going to end up over there, and obviously it's no good for anyone. So while we're here, I just thought it's a very good opportunity to show you exactly what the mat is. And I'm just keen that whilst we go along with all of these, as much as it is entertainment and it is about the business, I also want you guys to learn and understand exactly what I'm saying when I say certain terminology. So obviously, as you can see in here, the guys have wasted no time in getting it set up. So obviously they've already got their vehicle in here. This is their now mechanics workshop. But yes, we started here, I think, just over a week ago, and already now it is a working project. So it's yeah, nice to see how quickly the boys have moved in and they got the setup off and running. I think this is the 3rd episode in a row that you've been on now as well.
That was it?
Yeah, it's basically your channel.
Well, we had tiny bits that, you know, when you do it afterwards,
like
you
little
see
snagging bits.
Yeah, like we closed up the little gap there.
Yeah.
And what I realised, the roof, you can only see if there's any little pinholes when you look up. You can see the light. So the boys did it. Boys did a great job.
Oh, so it wasn't a case of like rain, like nothing's leaked through them?
No, there was a couple of drops, but you couldn't see it
until you're under
there.
it looking up.
If you're on top of it, it's very hard to work out where the holes are. But from here, you can look up and direct someone to just use
I think most of the sheets we got in the end were all right, but I think there was still a few, obviously. Like I said, it's hard to see when the boys are actually doing it. It's more a case of
the boys did a fine job. The space it gave me, I managed to put all my steel stillages round the corner. I got my weighbridge platform now, which is great. Otherwise, they end up balancing on a tightrope trying to get past the lorry, and it's not safe. So jump out the lorry, walk across, and then I got the boys to trim down all the tubes on the side where the lorry is, because the boys will come in, the mirrors will just slap them all off. So,
do you want anything on the sides of these, of your little tin hats as well, or not? Is that outside the containers?
No, the roofs are fine. It's just something that when you're out on the landing, if people are fondling with keys so they don't get drenched.
Okay.
That's all
fine. All right, mate.
But I think we're there or thereabouts. I've put all my scaffolding stillages like a professional.
Nice. Yeah. It's a good setup.
No more handballing. Just the forklift moves the stillages round.
Nice. Is all the gear gone from up there now? Is there still bits up there?
No scaffold up there.
Oh, really? It's all gone.
But I went to the storage yard yesterday.
Yeah.
And we've got like some timber board. Yeah. And we've got 2 stillages of just different size tube. But we're not going to be doing.
Is there any more that you're going to need here? Or is it a case of like moving along and seeing?
As and when.
We
see. But at the moment, I don't think there's any. We're completely.
We're there or thereabouts for a minute. Yeah.
So. Sweet.
Nah, top man. Nice one. Sweet, bro.
Stella did a great job, and I'm a man who likes to complain.
Yeah, it's been minimal on this one. Sweet, bro.
Basically, we've got 12 metres independent. Drive on from the other end, the weighbridge drops down. So what we've had to do, if you come, we've had to keep the weighbridge, the scaffold and the weighbridge completely separate, so the weighbridge can move independently on its own from the scaffolding. Foot tie, cross braced every other standard. So every 4 metres you've got a cross brace, just to give it that structural integrity. If you follow me over here, you'll see we've done 2 little roofs on his containers, just to stop him getting wet while he's fumbling his keys. His words, not mine. So you've got an 8-foot square there, and then you've got a 4 metre by 2.4 metre little roof room there.
I'm very happy.
No, good.
Good man, smash. Let's see how he tried to leave me hanging.
No, never.
Do you know what they're going to do? They're going to do this.
Do you know
what they're going to do this thing now? They're going to do, hello darkness, my old friend. They're going to make a
That's up there for now. So that brings our current feature with Ashville to a close. So it's been on the last 3 episodes. So I'm pleased to get my channel back, because I feel like he's kind of taken over. Now, jokes aside, absolutely brilliant to be around him. I had a really good chat with him earlier, and he's given me some very good advice. So credit where credit's due. That's an absolutely top man, and hopefully we can do more with him very soon. So that is going to bring episode 14 to a close. Thank you to everyone, again, new subscribers, anyone who comments, likes the videos, thank you very much. This channel is building, it's building at pace. We're still an awful long way to go, but it's coming, we're building, and I'm over the moon with the progress that we're making. So next week we are getting very busy. There's a lot of new projects coming in, some nice work, and yeah, we've got some good stuff coming up for you guys to see. So thank you to everyone again, and we will see you next week for episode 15.